Today is Thursday, Parashat Tavo. The beginning of the parasha of this week speaks about the mitzvah of Bikurim. And we spoke earlier this week about the great and important aspect of being thankful and grateful to Hashem for everything that He's granted us. And one way to express that thankfulness is the first of the fruits that grow in the tree. Rather than enjoying them, we bring them as an offering in Bittan and we give it to the Kohen. But there is another interesting dimension here to this mitzvah of Bikurim. When the person brings these fruits and he gives them to the Kohen, he makes a statement that describes the history of the Jewish people all the way centuries before. The farmer brings the fruits to Bet HaMikdash, and he mentions that a long time before, Arami Oved Avi, there was Lavan who wanted to finish off Yaakov, and then went to Egypt, and then in Egypt, the Egyptians made us into slaves, and they made us suffer, and then afterwards Hashem took us out of Egypt. A whole review of history. Actually, the psukim from this parasha are the core of the Haggadah. In the Haggadah of Pesach, the psukim from this portion here at the beginning of this portion of this week are quoted, and they're explained and spoken about word by word in this few psukim from this parasha. So what is so important to remember things that happened centuries before that offering that the farmer is bringing to Bet HaMikdash? What is so important is this is what kept us as the Jewish people, even though we scattered among the nations. There is no other people in the world that without living in the one same country, many people speaking different languages based on the countries where they lived, they always maintain, of course, the Hebrew language, but they still maintain their identity for thousands of years. This is made possible because we are always telling the story of our past, telling where we came from, what are the previous generations about, and the more we're able to connect with that past and with those roots and that tradition, the more we're actually building for the future for our children. So important to impart to our children the history of who we are, where we came from, how we started, how the Jewish nation started. That's why he makes this statement, Arami Oved Avi, speaks about Yaakov Avinu, our forefather, and then what happened with Egypt and going out of Egypt. And the more we're able to educate our children with what is the story of the Jewish people, the more we're preserving that identity for the future. Unfortunately, there are many people who are out there, I'm not speaking about necessarily about Jewish people, but in general, people that do not have a sense of identity of who they are, where they come from, what they're about. Who am I is a question that is a person can ask, where in the case of the Jewish people, as we educate our children in terms of where we came from, who are our forefathers, what are the previous generations, what is the story of the Jewish people, we strengthen their sense of who they are, and we build that commitment into the future to maintain the Jewish people and their identity into eternity. So the statement that the farmer makes of saying what the history of the Jewish people is very important. It's a lesson for all generations. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.